welcome to my channel. It's Hair to Stay by Ms.E. I'm going to show you how I created this inverted bob wig on the sewing machine. I'm going to take my measurements. I'm going to do the circumference, which is around the head, and as you can see, I have a 22-inch circumference wig head, and I'm going to measure that out, and then I'm going to go from front to back, which is about a 14.5, 15, and my natural measurements are 22 circumference and 14 front to back, so this is going to work for me. I'm going to ask that you make sure you have a seam ripper, because that's going to ensure that if you make a mistake, you can go ahead and take those wefts out of the cap if you need to do so. And right now I'm securing my my closure. It is a 13 by 4 inch closure. I'm going to secure it so that I can begin to make the tracings, so that later on I can go back and sew the closure on. I've secured the top with the T-pins there, just making sure that it's nice and taut. And I'm going to go ahead and trace around that closure with my metallic marker. I'm going to go ahead right now and start making my markings for the wefts that I'm going to sew on. Right now they're very, very close together, probably about a 1/2 inch, and the reason being is because I'm not using bundle hair. I'm just going to use regular track hair that I got from my local beauty supply store, and actually some scraps of hair that I'm going to use as well. You can basically use any kind of hair you want, but I chose this hair. It was inexpensive just for this video. Didn't want to use any expensive hair for the making of this video. As I go up the top, I am going to make my markings about 1 inch apart, and I am going to make sure that they are as straight as I possibly can get them. And I'm going to use my black permanent marker to just do what I call a blackout, because I don't really like the way the markings are on here. So this is something that you can do to go ahead and take those markings out. I wanted to make sure that everything was even on both sides of the head, and when they were not even, I decided to just black them out and remark them. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I have another video coming up. And make sure you hit the like button and share this video with someone. And at this point right now, you can see I've already done the markings. Everything is basically nice and balanced. The lines are not very straight, and they don't have to be straight, but as long as they are balanced on each side, that's going to work perfectly. So I'm going to double the tracks, although the tracks are very thick. If you've ever worked with just regular track hair, you know that the tracks are very, very thick. But I am going to double the first I'm going to say a few rows, basically up to half of the head, and then I'm going to just do single tracks the rest of the way, because the tracks are very, very thick. So right here I'm doubling them. I just put one on top of the other very close together, and I'm going to use a zigzag stitch. However, when I sew the tracks on, I'm just going to use a single stitching to sew the wefts on to the wig cap. And I did use just a regular spandex dome wig cap. I also used the mesh caps, but for this video I decided to just use the regular dome cap. So here is the end result. Make sure that you double stitch when you start at the beginning of your stitching and when you finish at the end. And as I looked at this video, I realized that I lost some footage. I apologize for that, but basically you see where I have already gone up to the top crown of the head, and you're basically just following those lines and stitching the wefts onto those lines. This is the part where it starts to get really tricky. When you start getting up to the crown, you have actually put so much hair on the cap to where it's really difficult to maneuver the hair onto the sewing machine. What I would advise is that you would take the arm portion of the sewing machine off so that you can basically use that, have area or access to be able to maneuver the hair around. So I'm going up the crown. As you can see, I'm doing single wefts at this time, and I'm going to just basically continue to sew until that whole crown area is covered. I know the lighting is not the best on here, but I am learning how to be the stylist as well as the videographer as well. So as I do more and more videos, I will be able to improve on positioning the lighting and the video so that you all can have a clear view of what I'm doing. So as you can see here, I am moving up the crown, and we're going to make sure I stay probably about 1/16 of an inch away from the area where the closure is going to be. I want to leave just a little bit of space between those two wefts. So right now what I'm doing is I'm sewing, getting closer and closer to the finishing the crown area. And you want to take your time. You don't want to try to rush, but you want to take your time. I am smoothing the wig cap, but I am not stretching it. You don't want to stretch it. You just want to smooth and make sure there's no wrinkles or crinkles when you are sewing. So as you can see, I am done with the stitching, and all I have to do next is to sew the closure on. And here is the wig inside out. As you can see, there is no lumps and bumps on here, but everything looks pretty smooth. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2 of this video, where I'm going to show you how I cut and styled this wig. That video is coming up very soon. Make sure you stay tuned for that. And I am going ahead right here, and I am putting my closure on. You want to make sure that even when you're tracing or getting ready to trace around the spot for your closure, as I did in the beginning and I forgot to mention, is you want to be a 1/2 inch, bring your closure down a 1/2 inch away from the edge of the cap, because this is going to make sure that your closure lays flat on your head when you put it on. You want to be like a 1/2 inch away from the edge of the cap. So I have my needle and thread. I did use my synthetic, not synthetic, I'm sorry, but I used my nylon thread, and I am going ahead and just stitching from the front of the right side, and I'm going to stitch all the way to the middle back. And then I'm going to go to the left front side, and I'm going to stitch to the middle of the back. And I use this technique because it always ensures that I am going to have a smooth stitchings with no gaps in between when I use this technique. So that is the technique of my choice. and I am stitching my closure onto the wig cap and not connecting it to that weft. I don't want to connect it to that weft because it causes a gap if you, or at least when I do it, when you try to sew those two wefts together. And actually, if I was making this wig for a person, I would go ahead and secure this with the sewing machine after I sew it on hand. So basically, this is a finished product. Make sure you guys stay tuned for part 2. And actually, you can see here how the closure is nice and smooth. I hope you guys like, subscribe, share this video, make a comment below. And I'm going to go ahead and let you watch the finishing of this video where I am cutting the hair, cutting the material away off of the cap, so that you can see the lace and the lace is exposed. That's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.